Lukas McFarlane is coming to Chicago for Message in a Bottle, which is a show that's featuring the music of Sting. The show will be here February 28th through March 3rd. Lukas, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me. We're so excited to come to Chicago.
We wanted to chat a little bit about your history, winning the Got to Dance, your work with Taylor Swift, with Celine Dion, and some big, worldwide brands. But let's talk a little bit about the show first.
Yes, please. Let's do it.
So let's talk a little bit about the storyline because we have 16 different songs from Sting that we're reimagining and we're dancing to.
Yes, this show is a universal story. It's a human story about survival and hope and love. It's extremely moving and uplifting. It's really like nothing you've ever experienced. And I know I'm a little biased, but I promise you it is. And if you love a musical, if you love Sting's music, you don't have to have seen dance before. We have people coming back time and time again, traveling to different cities to see it again because it's really quite an incredible experience, I think.
Because when I think of Sting's music and the Police, I think me rocking out, singing at the top of my lungs, or me in my car rocking out, but not necessarily dance. Talk a little bit about the reinterpretation of his music for this platform.
Yeah, I mean, I was like you. I grew up on the police music with my dad, so my memories are rocking out in the car as well to like Roxanne and Every Breath You Take. But our music ranger, Alex Lacamoire, who's done, some of the biggest Hamilton, Dear Evan Hansen, Greatest Showman, he did a fantastic job of kind of reimagining these songs for Kate's story that she was creating, this very human, universal story. And Sting's music, it talks about such things that are real today, and it helped tell our story so almost seamlessly. But these very, very classic, iconic songs are reimagined in the most incredible way with even Olivia Award-winning Beverly Knight singing some of them in a female voice. So it was an amazing experience to bring those songs together and hear them in new ways for our show.
Talk a little bit about the response that you've gotten so far, especially from some of the younger folks. I mean, because you and I were talking about rocking out with our parents to these songs, but maybe some of the younger generation are more theater goers and maybe you're just introduced to Sting's music, this in this way.
Yeah, I think Sting's music also is one of those artists that maybe you don't know you know a lot of, and then when these songs start playing, you go, "Oh, I know this song, I know this song, I know this song," because he's just it's so iconic. And audiences of all ages, younger, older, everyone is having the same reaction. We've never not had a standing ovation since I've done the show in 2020 was when we first opened. So the visceral reaction that audiences get to this experience is always the same, and you see the emotion on their face, you see the tears right down their face, and it's the most incredible experience to be on that stage and see the response that we're getting from the audiences.
Because people have such strong connections to the lyrics, to the music, to the words, to Sting. I mean, what's that like, when you're looking at the audience and a certain song is coming on and you can see them like, oh, this is my song right here.
Yeah, there's one point in the show when Roxanne starts, and it's kind of later in the show, and I know people have been waiting for that track, and when that first comes in, you see kind of people arrange in their seats and look at each other, and it's like, oh, here we go, here we go. And it's honestly the coolest thing. I love my job. I'm so lucky to do.
Let's talk a little bit about the movement and creating that with the main choreographer for the show.
Yeah, so what's really unique about our show is that it is merging all these styles. So we have like these hip hop styles like breakdancing, popping, locking, all these funk styles mixed with contemporary dance. There's even some like Lindy hop, some jazz. And so the plethora of styles that's happening on stage as well creates all these different languages. And we are telling this very emotional story. There's definitely the moments in the show where you can still rock out like we want to some.
You're from Canada, but I think a lot of people probably think you're British because you won Got to Dance in 2013. Talk a little bit about your journey from Canada to the UK.
Yeah, I moved to the UK at 18. So I was a very young, wide-eyed little man. And I'd never been to London, but I had heard there was a great kind of industry there. I wanted to build up a resume. And it was very difficult at first, for sure. But then I fell into this TV show called Got to Dance. And it kind of changed my life. It made me a household name in the UK. And 12 years later, I'm still there. And I've been really lucky to have this amazing career in the country.
As far as working with some of the biggest, brands in the world, you've worked with Uniqlo, Gap, you got to shut down Oxford Street in London, which was an amazing thing to read about it and to see. I mean, but talk a little bit about your platform and kind of that launching pad from Got to Dance and being able to work, with some of these iconic brands.
Yeah, I mean, the platform of Got to Dance was amazing for me as a performer. And then as I transitioned into being a choreographer and creating more, I was just really lucky enough to have these amazing people in my life that opened these doors for me. And I've got to work with, like you said, some amazing brands, amazing artists like Taylor Swift, Pink, Celine Dion. We shut down Oxford Street to film a film last year, like for 4 nights with 500 dancers. Like I'm just doing things I could only have dreamed of when I was 18. So
You mentioned Taylor Swift. Let's talk a little bit about, was it a music video? Was it a performance? When in your career did you get to meet?
yeah, she is the talk of the town right now as well. But I was very lucky. It was actually my very first big job was with Taylor Swift at 18 years old. And we did a performance for a TV show called X Factor. And we did We Were Never Getting Back Together. So it was kind of early on in her career, but she was very kind, very humble, very grateful for us. And it was a very pinch me moment for me at 18 to be dancing with Taylor Swift on TV. It was crazy.
How often do you think about like that time of, obviously her platform and her stardom has only grown exponentially, since that moment and since that album had come out. I mean, do you look at like, oh my goodness, I can't believe like at a moment in time I was on X Factor dancing with Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I think it's one of so many things in my life that I just can't believe I did. And they honestly they don't feel real. Like the career path I have and the career I've chosen to be in brings me in contact with these incredibly talented, amazingly high profile people. And it just becomes my reality, which is crazy. And I know it's not real, but it is my real life. And I'm just so, so grateful for it.
You also mentioned Celine Dion. Talk a little bit about music video performance. When in your career did you get to work with her?
Yeah, she did a performance in Paris, and it was her return to Paris, and they did a whole special for her on their big network. And we did River Deep Mountain High, which is like her iconic song. And when she walked in the room, you knew she was in the room. Just her energy is just like, it's wild. And she just thanked us so profusely. You guys are incredible. I'm so grateful you're here. She was such a beautiful soul. And then she wanted to learn a little bit of the dance. She's like, I want to do this part and I want to do this. And I think I should be a part of this. And she was actually so nervous, which I didn't expect. And she was really, really nervous to go out there. But the minute that song started, her energy is like infectious. She's really, really an icon, obviously.
I mean, all icons that you've been able to work with, and especially Pink doing so many things on stage. And I can only imagine that the dancers that are with her are working just as insanely, just as insanely hard as she is.
Yeah, Pink pushed us all because she worked so hard. And I was lucky enough to do some partner work with her and work with her. And, as she leaned over me for this lift, first thing she said to me was, "Oh, you're the one who gets to touch my armpit. Lucky you." Like she was so human, so humble. And she walked by 150 dancers before we went on, and said good luck to every single one of them before the show. Personally, and I think she's a very kind person. Obviously, uberly talented. So that was also a very cool bucket list moment for me.
Well, number one, I'm a huge fan of hers. I mean, I'm a huge fan of everyone that you work with, but hear that moment of her thanking all the dancers. I mean, that's an incredible. It just makes me love her even more. So
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's really rare. And to have someone of her stardom still be so down to earth and so grateful to everybody on stage that is bringing this performance together because it isn't just her, and she's leading us. But when you have a leader like that, uh, who's leading with such kindness and such compassion, like it makes you work harder for them, makes you dance harder.
awesome. Lucas, thank you so much for your time today. Message in a Bottle coming to the Cadillac Palace Theater February 28th through March 3rd. BroadwayChicago.com for those tickets and enjoy your time while you're in our city.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.